Welcome to Mysteries to Die For. I am TG Wolff, and I'm here with Jack, my piano player and producer. This is a podcast where we combine storytelling with original music to put you at the heart of a mystery. All stories are structured to challenge you to beat the detective to the solution, and good luck this week. These are arrangements, which means instead of word-for-word readings, you get a performance that's meant to be heard. Jack and I perform these live, front to back, no breaks, no fakes, no retakes. Little asterisk on that this week. For Season 6, Jack and I have decided to go again ad-free. I do this because I love mysteries, and Jack does this because he loves me. Jack may be a starving college student, but that's just because he hasn't yet dug into his Christmas stocking. We do ask that you support the writers of our show. This week, it's Jack Wolff. Check him out, read his stories, help other people find them. Make writing for Mysteries to Die For the best decision he could have made. In your review, tell him that I said Bonjour. This is Season 6, Things That Go Jack in the Night. This season contains truly imaginative mysteries around one of the most common words in the English language. From the brandy distilled from hard cider known as Applejack, to that nefarious one-eyed Jack, to the animals, vegetables, fruit, tools, weapons, and slang, the way the word Jack is used in the English language is truly unique, inventive, and too numerous for us to count. Yes, it's also the name of my piano player and producer. For episode 12, an audio jack is the featured Jack. This is Detective Connelly Gets Audio Jacked by Jack Wolff. Okay, brief note before we get started here. Once in a while, real life gets in the way of our fun, and this is one of those weeks. So everything you're about to hear was recorded in one take, just not one continuous take. Jack had to take advantage of some modern technologies to get us put together. So with that, I'm going to launch this and hand it off to future Jack and our unsuspecting mystery guesser, Shannon. Take it away, future Jack.
Thank you, past TG Wolff. My name is Future Jack, and I would like to introduce to you our special guest. Unfortunately, I was a little dumb and forgot to invite her, so instead we have two other special guests. The first being Jack Wolff. He's just got back from Alaska, so say hello. Hello. So say hello, J.L. Wolff.
Hello, my name is Jack Wolff, and my tongue is a little frozen.
Good job, buddy. I believe in you. Don't worry. His talking will come back after his tongue numbs. And our other guest today is Johannevan Johan. So hello, Johannevan.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Johan. I'm very excited to be here. I plan on writing a critique on this book, so thank you very much.
All right, so guys, how about you tell us a little bit about yourselves? JL, I know you just went to Alaska, you just got back. Tell us a little bit about how that affected your writing styles.
Sorry, I just had to take a hairdryer to my tongue. It thawed out a little bit. Alright, so if we're going to be talking about my writing style, I think we have to acknowledge my history. I am both a performative actor and also an animal rights activist, but the only animal that I believe have rights are penguin eggs. Not the penguins, those little bitches can die for all I care, but the penguin eggs, they are actually very valuable to us in our current economic situation. So I would just like to, address the problem of penguin eggs not existing as much as they should. But if we're talking about how that impacts my writing style, I will say my fingers numb a lot. So oftentimes I go with simple sentences for the sole purpose of I can't feel like my hands. And so I just got to get stuff done as quick as possible. So I write books for what I call Neanderthals because they're pretty easy to read, pretty simple. I can't feel my balls half the time. Not the point. The point is that if we're talking big picture, I think mushrooms are a big reason as to why humans don't smell like eggs more often. Okay, I can see how that would work, but that is very different from what we have out at Johannevan. So Johannevan, let's talk about your more academic side and how that influences, your view on my piece, Detective Connelly Gets Audio Jacked. Yeah, so I will take an academic standpoint from all the universities that I have attended in my days to try and get a true picture of how your story works and the outer linings of it and all that jizzy jazz. And then I will write a book and publish it, and the book will say, I'm better than this author. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
Interesting. Well, I am excited to see how both of these play out, and now it seems like we're just going to get right into the story. So now,
Hi there. I just got one more thing. Excuse me. Yeah. I just got one more thing to say. Buttholes should not be released onto the planet. I think those need to stay contained. So thank you.
You do you, man. But we have a story to read now. So okay.
I would just like to say I smell eggs. So Mr. Jack, are you hiding eggs? I feel like you might be. I'm gonna check your mini fridge. No. Oh, there's nothing there. Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay, buddy. Now we have to.
I just had to say that one thing.
I know, but we have to write the story. Or we have to not write it. We have to write it. We have to read.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
my bad.
Yes. Okay. So
That's on me, fellas. That's on me.
thank you. Thank you. Just shut up.
Okay, I will.
Shut up. Stop talking.
I'm sorry. Your panties are in
I swear to God, I'll fight you.
Don't
Thank you. I didn't mean to make you cry. But thank you for shutting up. Christ's sakes. All right. So let's get into my original story. Detective Connelly gets audio jacked. Now, I will say the music for this episode is done from even futurer Jack, because neither three of us who are currently sitting here and are definitely all real people can play piano. So we have to hand it off to a different Jack who knows how to play piano. Totally. That's what's happening. So now,
I'd just like to say that the mushrooms that JLW gave me smell good, and they make me smell everything. I can smell your eyes.
Johan, shut up. Okay.
I would just like to say thank you to Jack Wolff, who has stayed quiet. Thank you, buddy. No problem, buddy. These mushrooms make you look rather fine.
He's stoned. But other than that, I'd just like to thank him still, because stoned or not, he's a lot better than this fucking asshole.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry.
You should be.
I'm sorry.
You rude little bitch.
Don't worry about it. Okay, so let us get into the story today. Detective Connelly gets audio jacked. Chapter 1, Steal My Heart. The year was 1991. Wow, so I messed up the first 4 words. Fuck. Let's restart. Detective Connelly gets audio jacked. Chapter 1, Steal My Heart. The year 1999 was the beginning of a new era for guitarists as grunge emerged from angsty teenagers who were raised from traumatized parents that fought in various wars. From Billy Joe Armstrong, the guitarist, not the astronaut, to Kurt Cobain, who was to become the world's first and worst garage painter. Music was evolving like Alabama inbreds with 12 fingers. The industry was booming, and out of the woodworks came an amazing guitarist who was referred to as the Chuck Berry of daddy issues, Tryson St. James. I had the privilege of meeting him before his unfortunate demise that cold October night, and my experience with him truly inspired me to become the detective I am today. Every country has great pyramids, like the Egyptian pyramids at Giza, the temples of the sun and moon in Mexico, and Bass Pro Shop in Memphis, Tennessee. Canada had just entered the game, and I drove to the brand new Guitar Nirvana in Toronto. Its name was unrelated to the band whose lead singer, Courtney Love, would soon kill. Along with it being the greatest guitar store in Canada, Guitar Nirvana was built in the shape of a pyramid and hosted 4 floors of amazing guitar brands such as Gibbon, a Fender, Tailored, and even a French guitar called Le Paul, which translates to the Paul. On the 5th and highest floor, they even had a professional recording studio, which was hosting none other than Tryson St. James. I was visiting with the hope of finally being able to meet my hero, unaware of the tragic events that would precede. It was around 1 o'clock in the afternoon when I arrived, and I was so excited I didn't even park the car. I just jumped out the sunroof and let the car park itself over by some bus that had Nelson Mandela Park Public School written on it. I burst through the door feeling like a little kid again, but not the ones I just hit with my car, and gazed upon the expansive wonderland. Guitar Nirvana was even better than I had imagined. I ran up and down each aisle, taking a guitar off the wall, playing one chord, giggling, and throwing it somewhere in search of the next best strummy toy. I saw other celebrities there, like TG Wolff, who was putting a second mortgage down on her house to buy her 17th guitar, and Freddie Mercury, who would pass away only 1 month later due to mercury poisoning.
the element, not the planet or the Roman god of speed, which would have been way cooler. Anywho, I was so eager to see the entire story that I knew I had to go meet Tryson first, so that I could keep wandering the new Canadian monument with as much time as I needed. I ran up the stairs to the top and encountered a sprawling lounge with the receptionist in front of the studio door. She was wearing a leopard skin onesie with lime green glasses and fingernails the length of Black Beat Bub's famous footlong hot dogs. Which is foot long. She sat at a computer and was trying to figure out how to use her keyboard with those nails when she looked up and noticed me. She smiled and said, "Oh, hello there, neighbor. What can I do you for this fine afternoon?" I smiled back. I was just looking to see if the greatest guitar player in the whole wide world happened to be here. Her smile faded. "No, Dave Navarro of Jane's Addiction isn't here right now, but we have some country bumpkin in back if you want to meet him." I don't know why her accent turned to like Australian. A mix of rage and glee flowed through my hips as I declared, "All due respect to Dave, he has dead mommy issues, not daddy issues, which makes him pitiful in comparison to the great St. James, and no amount of eyeshadow can change that." Enraged, I stormed past the rude and clearly delusional receptionist into the sacred halls which held my hero. Angelic light poured out of the studio as I stepped in, and I beheld a beautiful scene. In front of a sprawling soundboard sat a tubby, balding man wearing golden chains so tight around his 9 extra chins he called a neck that they were practically chokers. His name tag read Nick, but I wasn't concerned with him. Past the walking bucket of lard, through soundproof glass, sat the gorgeous caramel man who could play away my sorrows on his 6-stringed harp from heaven. Tryson was dressed like the pimp he knew he was, donning a purple suit lined in the same leopard print the foolish receptionist was wearing. He wore a Captain Cook-style hat with exotic bird feathers in it, like the Grisio Tranus, Aurentricio Tata, and the racing pigeon. His many rings would have... Wow. Fellas, I feel like J.L. Wolff's cock is in my mouth right now, because I just cannot talk right now. Excuse you? I'm gonna be hot, but I know when I'm clothed, bitch. Sorry, no, his pants are on, guys. Okay, let's just keep going. His many rings would make his backhand slap lethal, and his shoes reminded me of curved elf loafers. He didn't notice me enter, and continued to play the sultry sounds that soothed my mind. Sure, he was out of tune, and maybe he hit a few wrong notes, but who would have guessed that Twinkle Twinkle Little Star could sound so tranquilizing in a minor key? The tubby sound engineer, Nine Neck Nick, stood up and shooed me out, and Tryson noticed, looking up from his guitar. The Ennead Neck Neanderthal nearly picked me up as I waved to the musical pimp Tryson and yelled, "You're my hero!" He cracked a smile, and he gave me a small wave. Can you believe it? He waved at me. How many people do you think he has waved at? Because I can tell you this, it wasn't many. I felt at peace. I felt limp in lard-ass man's hands as I was carried out. Life couldn't be better. And in my mind, there wasn't anything that could hurt me or my new best friend, Tryson St. James. We were invincible. Chapter 2, Tryson St. James gets an aux cord rammed up his ass. The receptionist and Nine Neck Nick called security to remove me from the premises, but I hadn't yet explored the other floors of the pyramid, so I did what any man would. I started kicking balls and taking names, sprinting and weaving through aisles and staircases to make my escape. I realized the best place to lose my pursuers would be in the guitar pick section of the store. Get it? Because everyone loses guitar picks? Whatever, I thought it was funny. Assholes. Anyway, I had just escaped my pursuers when I heard the high-pitched screams of a lady in distress. My maternal instincts kicked in, and my boobs sagged, so I changed directions back to the studio I had just left. Running back up 3 floors, I realized how truly winded I was and stopped to catch my breath on the last flight of stairs. Coming down towards me was an extremely buff and tatted up dude who avoided eye contact and just kept calmly walking down, ignoring me completely. I took note and continued walking up. In the lobby, the receptionist, Nine Neck Nick, the fluffy sound engineer, and none other than Gordonovan Skeetbaum stood around some old lady who was on the floor. Gordonovan was the yang to Tryson's yang, and guitarist for the band Too Cool for Luncheons. They were cool, but they knew they weren't that cool, so at least their name was accurate. The receptionist was on the phone, panicking, and seemed to be talking to the police, as Nine Neck Nick came over to stop me. "Hey, buddy, I don't want any trouble. We need you to take a step back, what we call the authorities." I responded smugly. "Luckily for you, I am the authorities. Detective England Connelly is on the case." He seemed hesitant. How about we still wait for the other guys to come take a look at this? I flashed my badge. Does this change your mind? He looked horrified. Sir, this is a family-friendly establishment. Keep it in your pants. I really need you to leave, unless you happen to know CPR. The lady on the ground collapsed and we need help. I snorted like a pig. Of course I know CPR. I got certified when I joined the force. Let me through, Jabba. The hut. I ran to the lady and started CPR. 30 compressions, 2 breaths. Although I thought it was useless. The smell of her breath told me she had been dead for years. But thanks to my necrophiliac powers, she came back to life. I was told necrophilia doesn't mean what I think it means, but I'll be damned if someone brands me from the morgue again while trying to raise an undead army just because I mixed up a few words. Anyway, the old woman came to, and I stood up, letting the receptionist take over. I guess you're legit, Nine-Neck Nick said, digging his chain out of between his chin folds. Sir, I said, powered up on my necrophilia. How dare you doubt Detective Connelly? Now, tell me what happened. I don't know, he said. This is Trison's 87-year-old grandmother. She must have gone into the studio while I was on break. I heard her scream and found her in the doorway. I've been trying to get her help. I looked into the empty studio. And where was Trison when this happened? Nick responded, I'm not sure. I came back when I heard a scream after you lost me in the guitar picks. I haven't really been worried about Trison. I wonder where the dude is. I mean, she is his granny. I walked over to the studio, looking around the booth. I didn't see Trison through the glass until I got closer. You would never believe where he was. Trison wasn't on the ground, but rather above the glass, almost implanted into the ceiling. Coming out of his mouth was a cord of some sort, with the jack end of it blasted into the plaster studio ceiling. His back was against the top of the room, and out of his pooper came the other end of the cord, and the audio jack was also implanted into that end of the ceiling. His legs and arms hung down, limp and lifeless. My heart fell. I turned to Nick, tears burning my eyes. Do you think he died of natural causes? Nine-Neck Nick shook his head with horror in his face. I began violently sobbing. Well, looks like we have to search for clues and question some witnesses. Nine-Neck Nick put his hand on my shoulder. No, I think we need to call the police. You can't just start looking for clues, Scooby. I was inconsolable and needed something to keep my mind off of this tragedy, so I made the decision to bury myself in work and begin investigating the murder. First things first, I said, we need to find... Sorry, I have snot running down my throat. We need to find out who could have gone into that room with Trison and done this to him. Well, let us see. The receptionist was still on the phone with the police, but I took the phone cord and bit down on it. My tongue sizzled a little bit, but the line disconnected and she looked pissed. Mission accomplished. Ma'am, I'm Detective England Connelly. I need to ask you a few questions about the events that occurred here this evening. As a receptionist, do you have a list of people who had access to this room between when I was rudely removed from the studio and right now? The receptionist looked a mixture of fuming and confused, as if she wasn't expecting an officer of the law to bite a phone line. Yes, sir, I do have a log of everyone who came in and out. Let me go check it out. She was wearing heels as tall as her foot-long fingernail, so she scooted over to the sign-in table and opened up the log. I wasn't here myself, she said. Nick escorted you out with security, and then I took a break. Gotta get my steps in, you know. In that time, 3 people went into the room. Trison's grandmother, named Edith St. James, Gordonovan Skidbaum, and Corduroy Von Blunt. I have a feeling it wasn't Edith, as she was the one who found Trison and had some sort of heart attack. Now this intrigued me, or maybe it was Edith, I declared. Think about it, you would never suspect the lady who had a heart attack when seeing a dead body to have been the murderer, or maybe that's exactly what she wants you to think. I'm gonna have to follow up on her. The secretary's brow furrowed. Exactly what police department do you work for? I work for NPD, I said proudly, the city of Nunya. She looked a little confused. Nunya? Yeah, I said. Nunya business, bitch. Now where the hell is Corduroy? That struck a nerve, or should I say a chord, because she started screaming like she was auditioning to be the new Slipknot frontman. I swear to God, I don't really remember what she said, something along the lines of, a lady almost died, there's a murderer on the loose, I'm not a real cop, just some random stuff people say when they first find out that I'm from the totally real city of Nunya business, bitch, Peru. That's right, it's real. The receptionist was no longer much of any use, so I asked Nine-Neck Nick who Corduroy was. Corduroy was an old bodyguard of Trison's, Nine-Neck Nick said. They had to split ways after Corduroy killed one of Trison's fans who was breaking some boundaries. Corduroy doesn't think Trison did enough to defend him, and Trison didn't think Trison thought Corduroy went way too far, so they decided to mutually part ways. And the state unmutually arrested Corduroy for murder. Crazy musician stuff. I took detailed notes of the clues with my pencil on my arm, but it didn't work very well. And what did Corduroy want with Trison? I asked. Nick shrugged. I'm not sure. I didn't even know he was here until she told you. But I did know Gordonovan would be here. He had an appointment for 1:15. He's over on the couch watching us talk. He's kind of creepy. Without moving my body, I slowly spun my head 160 degrees backwards to catch a glimpse of Gordonovan. Sitting in skinny jeans, a jean jacket, a jean tank top, jean boots, and jean sunglasses, old Gordonovan silently waited for us to finish our lover's spat. His long, oily brown hair clung to his jacket, and his posture told me he was a man with severe back problems. He sat in such a deep slouch I could almost see down his shirt. The boots he donned were magnificent, although they did seem to have some kind of white powder speckling the soles. Looking up, I watched Gordonovan lick his lips, which gave me the weird urge to verbally abuse a waitress and then hit on her creepily. Must have been his rock star energy rubbing off on me. I'd have to be careful in my interrogation. Chapter 3. Hippies and Tattooed Man Boobs. I hopped over to the lounge chair in front of Gordonovan's skid bomb and took a seat, real smooth style. To get any real information out of this guitar tickler, I would have to get into his head and mindset. Gordonovan elongated his face and began speaking. Good evening, my friend. Is it time to bend my head over heels to reveal to you the reals of this fine event? I put on my best stoner face. Yes, brother. Do you smother the great St. James? Ah, so it's you who blames me, he said. I had come to settle a quarrel in which he acted immoral and stole my love for a cheap night of penis-gloved betrayal. The dead man stole my heart and rivals my guitar. I wanted to end what he did start and find whose chords were most bizarre. I nodded, digging his groove. So what motive did you possess? An opportunity is what I will address. In your lone time with the man, did you exact your bloody hungry plan? And how much did a cord find its way up the ass of a man dressed in such fine class? While the journey of said Jack into his body is a mystery, I did return the object of said misery. Gordonovan licked his lips, his word falling in drips. You see, St. James had a lucky ox cord in which he got one day when he was born, and lived through 6 years of performance, which built up the cord's importance. No cord lives that long, and its life convinced Trison Schlong that his success and fame came from the Jack's mainframe. A month ago, presented with the opportunity, I stole property which didn't belong to me. The cord lay alone on the stage from a double headliner upstage in which he stole my girl, my fans, my time. So I stole from him and he stole things from mine. As the cord entered my possession, I began a war, a fight that I could not sustain anymore. Today I came to return my property and make peace so we could go on with our lives and stress be released. He took back the cord, but my offer he did reject. I left and sat here to give him time to reflect. I was going to return soon and ask him to reconsider, but the opportunity someone else did obliter. So while it was his lucky Jack that connects ceiling to ass, it was not me, and I'm offended you asked. My brain hurt just trying to listen to that shit, but I got the information I needed. I put back on my stoner hat and responded. I didn't mean to offend you, but the stories do blend. Now I must find all clues before the murderer comes someone I lose. You have motive and cause, along with which jives with the laws. And you were one of the last people to see him before his body began bleeding. You are a suspect, Mr. Skidbomb, and I will ask you not to leave. Just sit, stay, and be calm. I stood and walked back over to the receptionist and Nine-Neck Nick. What'd he say? Asked Nick. Well, from the looks of it, he and Trison had a feud, and he took Trison's lucky audio jack, I said, translating to English. He came back to make peace and return the cord. Trison took the cord but rejected the peace. Gordonovan is only still here because he was going to try and let Trison cool off and then try again. It explains where the audio jack murder weapon came from, but how it ended up in Trison's ass out of his mouth, his gorgeous mouth, is still a mystery. We need to find this Corduroy. It sounds like he may also have a motive to hurt Tryson. Do you know what he looks like? The receptionist had mellowed out after her little outburst. And he's about 6'3", really bulky and has numerous tattoos across his lustrous pecs. You could see her thighs quiver. I said, because that's what I say when I'm thinking. I recall ignoring a man of that description when I was coming down from upstairs. Maybe we should go take a look around. Nick didn't seem too enthusiastic. Well, you can go take a look, Mr. Detective, but we're not going to chase him down, some murderer by ourselves. I said, thinking again. Would you rather stay here alone with Gordonovan, who also may be a murderer? Nick flashed his eyes over to the hippie, who sat still and totally silent, just staring at the wall in front of him. Okay, fine, let's go find him. The three of us, the receptionist Nick and I, descended the stairs and scoured the store from the ground level up. We didn't want our suspect escaping, so we started at the front doors and made sure nobody got past us. The side doors had alarms hooked up to them, so there was only one exit Corduroy could have taken. Nick and the receptionist searched all the aisles, and I took in the starch. Let's try that again. Once I find my spot.
Can't even find his place. Let's go to my book.
Shut up.
Well, maybe you should find your spot.
You are so mean.
Well, you're bad, bitch.
Whatever. I'm gonna keep reading.
You can try.
The side doors had alarms hooked up to them, so there was only one exit Corduroy could have taken. Nick and the receptionist searched the aisles, and I took in the guitar strap section. Wow, I wrote that weirdly. It seems Guitar Nirvana had every strap under the sun, including the few you could only get from adult stores. Yep, there they were. They had some of those. I may or may not have bought a guitar strap made of a 6-foot-long flattened rubber dildo. Okay, I totally did buy it. But they had a deal where you could buy 2 pink straps and get 1 brown strap for free. Totally worth it. No Corduroy on the first floor, so we moved up to the second floor where I searched through the dressing rooms. I know what you're wondering. Why does Guitar Nirvana have dressing rooms? And I am so glad you asked. They had outfits from famous guitar players, like a little schoolboy outfit. She could be Angus Young, and a 7-foot-long fake beard. She can be Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top. And they even sold press-on fake veins that were popped. She could be Nikki Sixx, Steven Tyler, Keith Richards, or any heroin addict. It was really cool. I wasn't the only one interested in the outfits, because in one of the changing rooms stand a man so tall I could see his head over the top of the changing room door. I kicked the door down and I kicked the door open to find a ripped dude trying on Marilyn Monroe's JFK Happy Birthday dress. The man jumped a solid 3 feet in the air and exclaimed, "Ah!" So I responded, "Corduroy, we have some questions for you and how you are involved in the murder of Tryson St. James." I will say, the dress did accentuate his inked-up breasts. The man looked confused. "What? Who?" Suddenly, the changing room to my left burst open. The man who I had passed on the stairs ran out, wearing nothing but Slash's top hat. I sprinted after him, grabbing any part of him that I could latch onto to slow his escape. I regret some of the things I did touch, but he did have rather smooth and lustrous leg hair. Anyway, he bolted down one of the aisles, and out of nowhere, Nick body-checked the tatted-up man into a cardboard cutout of Dave Matthews. Get it? Because Dave Matthews wrote that one song called Crash Into Me. Whatever, y'all don't seem to even like my jokes. Nick picked himself up and stood over the naked bodybuilder. The man took his Slash hat and covered his lady parts. I bent over him, and in my best John Lennon voice, I stared deep into his soul, establishing my authority. "Greetings, my child. I have come to ponder. Wow, I can't speak for some reason. I've come to ponder some questions to you, oh tatted one. Does your name match that of Corduroy Van Blunt?" The man wriggled a little and then spat out the words, "Puh, maybe. What is it to you?" "My name is Ron McCarlson of the hit band The Insects," I said, totally lying. "I am investigating a murder that took place upstairs and noticed that you spoke to the dead man moments before he was unalived. Have anything to say for yourself?" Corduroy got angry and began to stand up when the baby elephant, a.k.a. Nine Neck Nick, the sound engineer, put his foot on the guy's shoulder. I chuckled. Just answer the question, and we can all go back to our day peacefully. You talked to St. James right before he passed away. What exactly were you talking to him about? Corduroy was pissed and answered accordingly. You know what, man? That's none of your business. That was a private conversation between Benedict Arnold and I. It's between me and Benedict Arnold. Did you kill St. James along with your grammar? I stood up straight. A man is dead, good sir. All sense of privacy jumps out the window when your crime is in sight. That's right. Speak the truth now or risk the ramifications of me ramming my fist up your tatted ass, bitch. Corduroy looked a little startled. Whoa, okay. Fine, dude. It's not that big a deal. You know, back in the day, I worked for St. James. I was his personal bodyguard on his Ride Through the Sea tour. You know, the one with all the waterworks and harpoons and shit. I did recall the tour. I had followed it from New York to Pittsburgh back in '87. I was too broke to afford a ticket, but I liked to look over the stadium and watch him shoot his giant harpoon into a passing blimp. Tryson was a showman, I'll give him that. Corduroy continued. Well, towards the end of the tour, there was one fan who had been following us since the second show. She was a little psycho and had this pendant that split into 2 parts, and when put together, it made a heart that said Destiny on it. She had one side and swore to the sweet Lord above that Tryson had the other, and even claimed to be Tryson's secret lover, although he was a deeply closeted gay man. The only sex he had was with a sock puppet he named Bobbles, and he made in 4th grade. Poor Bobbles, he didn't deserve the life he lived. I took a step back. Okay then. Well, I know I said talk, but dial it back a notch there, Bubsy. Now, this girl, what did that have to do with you two? Well, on the last concert in North America, she decided she wanted to give Tryson a goodbye hug right before we left to go perform in Europe. She rushed the stage. When someone rushes the stage, it could cause the entire crowd to stage rush, which leads to injuries due to the stage stunts and pyrotechnics going off. So when this girl hopped on stage, I knew I had to get her down as fast as possible. I ran out from stage left and body slammed her back towards the crowd. She flew 5 feet into the air and then virtually disappeared. I turned around in confusion and saw Tryson looking up towards the blimp in disbelief. I had hit the girl in front of the giant harpoon, and it impaled her and shot her up into the blimp, which we decided to fill with fireworks for our last show in the USA. Nothing more American than Chinese fireworks, baby. Anyway, long story short, she exploded, and her bootylicious ashes rained down on us all. Of course! How could I forget the exploding crazy girl? It was all over the news for weeks. I had the impression that she ran right into the harpoon, not that someone threw her into it. Tryson's PR team must have been top-notch to cover that up. So, I asked, where in this did you and Tryson decide to part ways? Oh, there was no deciding, he said. Tryson loved his fans and went mental when I killed one of them. He had no idea what kind of danger he was in and didn't think a crowd bum-rushing the stage had any repercussions. I was charged with involuntary manslaughter due to the fact that there was no way of knowing that pushing her back was going to kill her. I asked Tryson for some help paying for a lawyer and testifying that I was just protecting him, but he refused. After 6 years of touring with him, he wouldn't defend me. He wouldn't raise a finger. I was sentenced to 10 years, I served 4, and then got out on good behavior. In reality, they just needed more beds in the prison, and I wasn't a threat to anyone in there or out here. I came here to Guitar Nirvana to make sure there were no hard feelings, but Tryson wouldn't have it. He kept yelling at me the second I entered the door, and I just wanted to tell him I was sorry, man. Clearly, he liked his fans, and after all this time thinking about my actions, I realized I never apologized to him. Granted, he didn't apologize for me for getting punished for doing my job, but I felt like being the bigger man would help us get over this disagreement. He didn't feel that way, so, didn't work. Looking down on the helpless brute, I almost felt bad. What exactly did you say when you came to talk to Tryson? He shrugged. I barely got a word out before he started yelling at me and trying to kick me out. That room must have been really soundproof if you didn't hear it. He was screaming at the top of his lungs, man. I even brought a gift for him from the tour, although in hindsight it was probably a little insensitive. I eyed him skeptically. What did you bring? Corduroy blushed from his head down. Let's just say I didn't really think it through. It was a pain to carry the 100 pounds up here, but it was still insensitive. He got all up in my face and even knocked my protein powder out of my hand all over the carpet. It was peanut butter banana, my favorite. I left his gift in the studio and came down here to check out this awesome Slash outfit, but you guys started kicking down doors like I was back in prison. I panicked and ran. I winced. Sorry about that, dude. I wasn't trying to end your fashion show. How about you get dressed and come back upstairs? I may have found our killer. Corduroy looked nervous. Actually, I may just be on my way. I gotta go see my parole officer before 6 o'clock, so I really should get going. I knew better than to let that slide. Nope. We are going upstairs, brother. Pack your package and get to the studio. I'll let old Nicky here stay with you to make sure you comply. Nick helped Corduroy off at Dave Matthews, and they went to change. I was heading upstairs when I found the receptionist frantically looking for me. "Detective!" she yelled. I waltzed over. "Yes, m'lady?" She was out of breath. "Go downstairs to the front office. The ambulance that was carrying Tryson's grandma crashed into a school bus that got hit by some asshole's car. I think they may need help." I was aghast. Who would hit a school bus full of children with their car? I ran down the stairs, out to the front parking lot, and evaluated the scene. The car was lodged into the bus full of children. I made sure to write down the license plate number of the car, which oddly enough was the same number as my car's license plate. What a coinky-dink. The car had no driver and was pushing the bus as if something was weighing down the gas pedal. The bus looked to have been pulled or pushed into the ambulance. There were people everywhere screaming, but I knew what I had to do. I ran to the back of the ambulance and ripped open the doors. There lay old lady St. James, and I hopped over to her. "Mrs. St. James, can you hear me?" She looked up, seemingly dazed, and muttered, "Tryson, are you home from school, honey?" I gazed down and chuckled. "No, you crazy bitch. Tryson's dead, and I think you killed him." The life drained out of her eyes. "Dead?" she gasped. I wasn't falling for her innocent act. "Of course, Grandma. He got audio jacked, shot up his ass. You must look old and frail, but I know you're secretly packing muscle." I slapped her on the shoulder, and the bone there crumbled to dust. She screamed, "Ah! Tryson, why would you do that? All I wanted was a thank you card for coming to your graduation party." "Aha!" I yelled. "So there's your motive, bitch. You wanted validation, appreciation for your actions towards the deceased, but he gave you none. You exacted your revenge by stringing a 10-foot-long cord through his bowels. Grandma, you are so under arrest." Just as I was closing the case, one of the paramedics ran to the back of the ambulance and saw me mid-triumph, standing over a screaming old lady. The paramedic was speechless, so I took this opportunity to run. This prisoner is Willie. Watch her well, good sir," I said, and leapt over him to make a superhero exit. The ambulance wasn't going on anywhere, so I knew when the police arrived they could finish arresting the guilty woman. I sprinted into Guitar Nirvana and ran up 4 flights of stairs once again. Bursting into the lobby, I focused on the 4 people who had seen me through my first real detective case: Corduroy, Gordonovan, Nine-Neck Nick, and the nameless receptionist. Oh yeah, bitches. Nick glanced up from the phone he was using. The police are about 2 minutes away, and they can handle the rest of this mess, then." I chuckled and started to stroll into the studio. "Oh, Nicky, there's nothing for them to take over. I already have our killer, and she's currently crying because she knows she's going away for a long time, and I might have accidentally crumpled her shoulder bone. Yes, it looks like she's going away for a long, long time." I stopped. Walking into the studio, I saw something in this entire investigation I had never actually examined the room Tryson was killed in. Just beyond the door in the studio, where Tryson hung up, sat a 100-pound harpoon gun. Suddenly, it all clicked. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I might have fucked up reading multiple times, but here we are at the deliberation. Well, Detective England Connelly is about to muck up his first case. Let's see what we can do to make him into the detective we know he can be. Everyone wanted something from the almost famous Tryson St. James, and by everyone, we mean Gordonovan Skidbaum, who's jealous. What? Oh, Gordonovan Skidbaum, jealous rival who wanted to put an end to their feud. Gordonovan Von Blunt, former bodyguard who wanted forgiveness for killing a fan, and Edith St. James, a loving granny who just wanted a thank you card. Is that too much to ask, Tryson? Here are the facts. Tryson was recording at Guitar Nirvana's Top of the Pyramid studio when he got audio jacked. The nameless receptionist wasn't at her desk at the time Tryson's demise, but she had an entry log. 3 people signed in: Gordy, Corduroy, and Granny. That's right. Gordonvin went in to end the war by returning Tryson's lucky audio cord. Tryson took the cord but loudly rejected the piece. Gordonvin hung out, waiting for Tryson to calm down before he tried again. Corduroy went in to make some amends, offering the harpoon gun that had once skewered a fan. That's right. Corduroy tried to gift Tryson the murder weapon of his fan. Anyway, Tryson ran him off, screaming even louder and spilling Corduroy's protein powder. Little old Granny went in, screamed, and dropped unconscious. No witness statement from Granny due to her self-diagnosed heart attack. That's right, it wasn't real, according to Connelly, of course. And lastly, the harpoon gun weighed over 100 pounds. Should Connelly keep the cuffs on Granny or bracelet someone else? We'll find out right after we ask our guests who they think it is. So, J.L. Wolff, who do you think the killer is?
Well, historically speaking, the penguins like to move in packs. So if I had to guess who had done it here, I'd have to say it is probably the kids in the school bus. Because you see, they move in packs, and penguins can be quite vicious. So I believe it was the children. Although thinking about it now, that wasn't one of the suspects you listed. All right, I suppose if I had to guess, I'd have to say Gordonvin. You see, I don't like the way he talks. Something about it just gives me the vibes of a person who would do drugs, and I just don't get why someone would do drugs. It don't make sense in my mind. It don't make sense in the reality that we live in. I just feel that do nugs, not drugs. Right, brother? Right. Interesting. That's definitely a unique point of view. I will say, I don't see what drugs has anything to do with this. We haven't really mentioned it, but I understand where you're coming from. If we're here to talk about the socioeconomic policies of these drugs and the nugs and the children and the penguins, we're talking about, the drugs, because, I don't do drugs. I didn't take mushrooms. I'm not seeing Barack Obama in your eyes right now. He's gorgeous, by the way. But the point is that I feel that drugs is all that this here story is about, and it's all right, It's all right. Okay. I guess I get where you. Okay. No, what? Let's just move on. Johan, I feel like you have a bit more of a sense of what's happening. So how about you give me, from an intellectual standpoint, who do you think murdered Tryson St. James? Let's look at the facts. Most likely, it was Connelly himself. That's right, bitches. You see, he might love Tryson, but secretly, his infatuation causes him to go insane. He really wants to be Tryson, and the only way you can be him is to become his skin and shave it off. However, there wasn't enough time because the receptionist Nick would return, so he killed him and left him on the ceiling, hoping no one would catch him. So now, Connelly, all he has to do is take the body and run, and he can become Tryson St. James himself. Okay, I said intellectual standpoint. That shit was pretty stupid. How about you try again? Try again? What do you mean? That makes sense. You see, he wants to become Tryson, but there can only be one Tryson, so you have to skin the real Tryson and wear it as a coat. Silence of the Lambs shit. It all works out, brother. Clearly, you ain't on enough mushrooms right now to be picking up what I'm putting down, bitch. I'm telling you, you're wrong. Try the fuck again, brother. Fine. Okay, here's a different idea. Well, let's look at the facts. If we're looking at pure motive, Corduroy has the most. He was put in prison because of Tryson's actions. Meanwhile, Gordy, what did he do? He just can't find peace with the brother. We can survive with that. Or maybe he can't. I don't know. Is he a psychopath? Maybe he is. You got to tell me. I don't know. You think I'm a knowledgeable man? I'm just faking it. You want to fight? No. You want to fight? I'll fight you. I don't want to fight. You might not be real, but once I record your parts, I'll start punching myself because I will beat you. I'll fight you. How did this escalate so quickly? All I said was that I was a fake and a fraud. Bitch. You know what? Screw you, man. No, screw you. Screw you. Made me cry. All right. Well, that being said, I think we should find out who killed Tryson St. James. So welcome to Chapter 4, Pyramid Scheme. I turned around to leave the studio just as police ran up the stairs. The one cop was rather angry and turned to me. You know where the victim is? I pointed through the door. Just in there, officer. It's a tragedy, it truly is. Such great talent, wasted on a pointless matter. Angry officer looked puzzled and concerned, but mostly angry. What are you talking about? Who are you? I began. Officers, my name is Detective Connelly from the NPD in Nunya, Peru, and while you have been making your way out here, I have been solving the crime of the century.
Nine-Neck Nick chuckled. I don't know about that. He thinks it was the grandma. I shot jaggers in Nick's direction. This is my first real case, man. Cut me some slack. What? Nick stuttered. You did not say this is your first case. Are you even are you saying this is your first case ever? Dude, don't you have to be a cop and handle cases like this before you become a detective? Who are you, dude? I interrupted. It doesn't matter right now. The only thing that matters is the murderer. You see, there were 2 ingredients needed to make a Trison shish kebab: the lucky ox cord and the tool that shot it through the man. Gordonovan exited his private haze to chime in. Well, I brought the ox cord to Trison, but who put the one-way stainless steel enema in him? I tap-danced over to Corduroy with a Grinch-inspired smile on my face. Well, good sir, do you care to explain? Corduroy looked repentant. That's a big word. Add that to your dictionary, mama. And replied, it was a peace offering. I wanted to show Trison that I was sorry for what had happened all those years ago, and I thought it was a funny gift. How was I supposed to know that someone was going to use a harpoon gun to kill him? Nick was taken aback. You brought the weapon you used to murder his fan as a peace offering? That sounds more like a threat, dude. Exactly, I interjected. So you claim to have gone into the studio and left the harpoon gun in there, while Gordonovan claims to have gone into the studio and left the cord? Aha, I know who our killer is once again. Angry Cop stepped forward. All right, I think our little game is over. Want to point your fingers so we can wrap this up? I smirked so hard my face muscle grew abs. Why, yes, officer. Please go back downstairs and arrest Edith St. James, the psycho grandma. Nine-Neck Nick slapped his forehead. What? Dude, no. How did you get that so incredibly wrong? I was taken aback. What are you talking about, good sir? Look at the evidence. Look at the evidence. There are 2 pieces needed to create the murder, and 3 people who entered the room. The first person brought in 1 item, the second person brought in the other item, and the third person used them to cook the murderer's stew. We know the third person to go in was the lady who discovered the body, but really, she killed him and gave him herself a heart attack as a cover. Angry Cop shook his head. Or, dumbass, the second person who went in used both pieces to kill him. The first person couldn't have killed Trison because the second person would have discovered the body, not the third person, not to mention that the first person didn't have both pieces. The second person would both have both pieces, so he could possibly kill him, and the third person couldn't have done it because the harpoon gun is 100 pounds and the third person is 87 years old. You crumpled her shoulder bone. Aha, I proclaimed. So all we have to do is find out who entered the studio second. Yeah, Angry Cop said, rolling his eyes. Does the receptionist have a logbook so we can just go check? I cut him off. Many a clues have presented themselves for us today, and those with the eyes of a cat can discern the lies from the truth. I began pacing. Perhaps there weren't even any lies in the first place, and all we have to do is click together our puzzle. As I walked, I turned around and noticed I was leaving white footprints. Peculiar. I stopped and inspected the floor. The closer my face got, the more I began to pick up notes of peanut butter. Corduroy, you spilled something on the studio, yes? Corduroy's face whitened. Yes, it was my protein powder. I nodded. Intriguing. It seems I have walked through some of this whilst analyzing the studio. It is curious, isn't it? Do you have any powder on your feet, Corduroy? He lifted his shoes to reveal white powder caked into the grooves of his shoes. And how about you, Gordy boy? Gordonovan silently and smoothly raised his shoe to reveal scattered specks of white, as if he had walked through it after the powder was already in the carpet. I ran up and licked the shoe before he could react, and a smile grew across my face. For the 5th time today, I yelled, "Aha!" So it seems we finally have our culprit. Corduroy went into the studio first, spilling the powder, which you entered and tracked the powder here on yourself now. Did that sentence even make sense? I don't know. I bet you couldn't stand Trison's inability to find peace between you two, so you created your own law and ordered through ending his life. What the fuck? Let's try that again. I bet you couldn't stand Trison's inability to find peace between you two, so you created your own law and order through ending his life. Angry Cop stepped forward with his hand cuffed, muttering, "We could have just looked through the damn log and been done with this by now." The coppa stood Gordonovan up, but I had one last question. Why didn't you leave, man? After killing St. James, you could have walked out of this building and gone on the run. O'Donovan's lips stretched into a long, thin smile, and he peered over the top of his jean glasses. I couldn't leave? Where's the peace in that, brother? The day was winding down, and after talking with the police for what felt like hours, I finally began to walk to my car. I passed the ambulance that was collecting Trison's body, and I decided to pay my last respects to him. He lay in a gurney underneath a white sheet. I pulled it back and looked upon the dead man's peaceful face. 2 gold chains lay around his neck, and they seemed to have charms on them. I pulled them over to his chest and looked at it. It was 2 pendants that formed a split heart, which had one word engraved across the both of them: Destiny. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you liked the story. I gotta ask, JW, how'd you feel about the story? Because I feel like you were in and out of it. I think you might be stoned, just from the smell of it in the studio. So just tell me, what did you think, man? Well, Jack, the smell you're smelling is piss. I peed myself, but I've been I have been drinking. I've been blending up my asparagus. So I've been drinking asparagus. So it smells pretty good, don't it? Yeah, it does. Anyway, I thought that it had some issues here and there, like the lack of drugs, despite the fact that it was all about drugs. And so I feel like all around, you didn't get the vibe of the story you were writing. So I'd have to give it a 10 out of 10 just because you and I are the same person and I love myself more than anyone else. So, in essence, I love you, man. All right, I suppose I see where you're coming from, but like that, I don't think that works. I feel like what you're saying isn't getting picked up or put down by the story. So, I think you should just shut up next time. I gotta say one more thing. Go ahead. Just give me a second. So, I also just want to say, Jack, you're the prettiest man I ever seen. I mean, look at your hair. Can I touch it? I won't touch it. Can I braid it? I'm going to braid your hair. All right, just take a seat. No, you cannot braid my hair. So, moving on. Johan, what'd you think of the story, man?
Intellectually speaking, I feel like the author didn't have a proper grasp on reality, as many of the factors in it didn't seem to promote or be supported by even modern physics.
Okay, I said, what did you think? I wasn't asking for criticisms, you prick.
Well, you wanted honesty, and I found quite a few plot holes already.
Excuse you. All right, this is my story, bitch.
Okay, if Corduroy had killed Trison and then began to run away, why would he stop in the costume section? Him being in the store still and not having left and running away should have eliminated him as a suspect already, to say that he was in a fine mood and he was not worried about getting caught.
Got anything else for me? You bitch. Got anything else?
I do have something else, actually. Gordonovan, after he kills him, he just sits and watches the whole murder mystery play out. Why does he do that? You say he's insane, but in reality, I think you're just too lazy of an author to have come up with a real excuse for him to stay. You say he's insane, he just wanted to watch everything, but I think you just aren't smart enough as an author to come up with the real reason for him to have to stay. Write something. Maybe he got stuck. Maybe someone saw him. Maybe he had to tie up a loose end. Either way, you should have executed this better, and I say shame on you.
Okay, that was rhetorical. I didn't want you to actually list another thing. So how about we end it here? Let's end the episode here.
You can't defend yourself, so you just have to end the episode, you little bitch.
No, shut up, actually. How about that?
You know what? I'm done here. You invited me here, and I feel very disrespected. Goodbye.
Alrighty, well, I'd like to thank our guest today, which is just future me and then future me. J.L. Wolff and then Johan. I forget how to pronounce his last name because I made it up on the fly. So let's take it back to the past, from a blast to the past. Let's shoot it back to my mother, who has our post roll for us. Take it away, Mama.
Wow, I feel younger already. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed Detective Connelly's first escapade as much as I did. A reminder to mystery readers to check out our print and ebooks. The companion book for seasons 4, 5, and yes, season 6, Things That Go Jack in the Night, are available in ebook and trade paperback from online retailers. The dimes and quarters from those book sales do support the podcast and keep Jack and Mike in aux cords. So let's learn a little bit about audio jacks. According to Wikipedia, audio jacks are in a family of electrical connectors typically used for analog audio signals. Audio jacks keep company with phone jacks, headphone jacks, and jack plugs. Okay, this kind of blew me away. The connector was first developed for use in telephone switchboards in the 1800s. The 1/4-inch size is a descendant of the jack developed around 1877 and used in Boston, Massachusetts. In February 1884, C.E. Scribner was issued a U.S. patent for the jackknife connector, which is where the jack part originated from. Scribner advanced the designs, adding more patents, and then in 1902, Henry P. Clausen received a patent of his own on an improved design that is still used today with musical equipment, especially electric guitars. So all that comes from Wikipedia, and the link to it is in the show notes. That was just fascinating. I was expecting something much more, we'll just say, tame. Who knew that they were over 150 years old? Let's learn a little bit more about Jack. You hear us playing every week. Jack is half of the brainpower behind Mysteries to Die For. Now finishing its 6th season, Jack writes and performs the musical arrangements and produces the show. He maintains the show's fresh air by staunchly refusing to edit out any of his mother's mistakes, no matter how much she begs. Jack attends Ball State University, studying media production, is a member of the Pride of Mid-America Marching Band, and has performed as a part of Veritas, a WGI independent world-class ensemble based in Indianapolis, Indiana. Well, that wraps up this episode of Mysteries to Die For. Please do support our show by subscribing, telling a mystery lover about us, and giving us a 5-star review. And check out our website at tgwolff.com/podcast for links to this season's authors. Mysteries to Die For is hosted by TG Wolff and Jack Wolff. Detective Connelly Gets Audio Jacked is written by Jack Wolff. Music and production are by Jack Wolff, with extra color commentary right now from Sky Wolf. Episode art is by TG Wolff. So technically, this is the end of Season 6, Things That Go Jack in the Night. But we're going to come back in 2 weeks, Jack, for a special bonus episode. An episode that's not in the anthology, that we haven't written yet. That's going to be a special treat for the holiday season. So come back in 2 weeks for Mysteries to Die For, and then starting in January, we will kick off Season 7, which is Games People Play. All right, Jack, take us out.